What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 55 of the Talkin ATL Hawks podcast. We are back yet again. Another week of the season has been completed, which means there is more Hawks basketball to get into. Wasn't the best week, but it certainly was not the worst. We'll get into all that in a minute, of course. First of all, I just want to start out by addressing everybody out there and wishing you guys a very happy and tremendous Thanksgiving. Because, of course, the next time we record, it's going to be after Thanksgiving. So I thought I'd go ahead and show my Thanksgiving gratitude now. And the reason why I'm so dressed up is because we just got back from our first day at work. So, I want to look my best. So, usually I wouldn't dress up like this, as this isn't my desired attire, especially when I'm talking about basketball. But, hey, I just got back home, didn't really feel like changing, so here we are. But of course, I got with me my beautiful co-host John Joyner and my mid-looking co-host Chase Jefferson. Welcome back, guys. How you guys doing? Another week of Hawks basketball down the drain. How we feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling great. Home for the week. Thanksgiving break. Can't wait to eat some good food and watch some good football on uh Thursday and Friday.
Absolutely, Chase. How about yourself?
Hey man, you doing good yourself? Like you and John said, it's Thanksgiving, man. I know we had this conversation a little bit back when John brought it up for one of his star pitch cuts when he was asking, if Christmas music is acceptable to listen to before Christmas season, and we kind of had our little take on that. And I'm a man. I love Thanksgiving season. I think it needs to be appreciated. But
Yeah.
once Thanksgiving is over, it is officially time to hop on the Christmas train, ladies and gents. And that's the thing. Like it's the fall season, and then you have Christmas right after. But you need like a good transition. And what
Yeah.
better transition than Thanksgiving, man? Like just enjoy Thanksgiving and then bam, start the Christmas parade.
Uh, couldn't have said it better myself, Chase. I mean, you know what? You nailed that to a T, to a T. But I don't want to bring up that argument again because last time we did, things took a little turn. So it
Yeah.
is a
Things
very
got
sensitive
heated.
topic. But I'm
It
glad
is.
that for the most part we have an understanding that Thanksgiving deserves its proper respect. But you know what also deserves a proper respect? It's three of NBA's most prominent skill making, playmaking, all the scoring attributes, whatever you want to call it. Three guys that hold the realm of these special abilities to present to fans across the nation on a basketball court are being very undermined by A, the media, B, their own personal and poor decision making that has led to them reaching this crossroads. What am I talking about? I'm talking about three players right now: Trey Young, John Morant, and LaMelo Ball. Those three guys right now have just been trending on the trade market really over the past 3, 4 weeks, 6, 7, 3, 4 weeks, and now it's gotten to the point where it's kind of become like a volcanic explosion because you've got Trey Young on one end, who was promised this newly revamped roster to elevate him to finally make that NBA Finals run he's been so thirsty for. But of course, early injury struck, and now the Hawks seem to be doing just fine without him. Controversy there. John Morant. Do I even need to say anything about John Morant? I mean, his character issues he displayed last year has just blossomed into even more off-court situations this year. Now the front office in Memphis isn't happy with him, and now he's making enemies with one of NBA's finest 75th edition player Klay Thompson, calling him a bum when in my eyes John Morant has no room to be talking. And then you
I
got
mean,
LaMelo Ball. You got LaMelo Ball, who has been a Charlotte Hornet all of his career, but it seems like Charlotte just keeps hitting the same fork in the road, and there doesn't really seem to be anything trending in the right direction. LaMelo's on and off the court more off than he is on nowadays, but his skill is still there, but there's nothing to complement it when it comes to the win column. And even though he seems like he's happy in Charlotte to the reporters, deep down inside, everyone knows he wants to win. And now he's in the trade conversation. So, what am I going to present to you guys today for our start bench cut? I want you guys to tell me out of the three players, Trae Young, John Moran, LaMelo Ball, I want all bias aside here. If you were sitting front office for an NBA team who is very interested in a newly skilled playmaking point guard, as a front office manager, start bench cut out of those three guys are you the most hungry for and why?
I think I got my list.
Okay, John, I'm gonna let you go first because I'm still kind of thinking. I know who I'm gonna start, but who I'm gonna bench and cut, I'm kind of on the fence about.
I got mine right at the gate. So I think it's. This might be a little surprising, but also Andrew did say no bias, so I'm not starting Trae Young. I'm not starting Trae Young. I'm gonna start LaMelo. I'm
Whoa.
gonna start LaMelo.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean,
Okay.
because like, did you, because y'all were like, y'all knew about how he dropped 72 points in high school, right? You know,
Yeah.
Chino Hills.
Hey, I do have to put an asterisk.
like y'all remember that, and like so y'all know he can shoot the ball and stuff. Um, like he's like 6'7", 6'8", somewhere around that. So he's got the height. He's got the height over Trae Young. So he can defend the ball so he can defend pretty well. So he's not like. Small. So he's got height, which I think like there's reason why Trae Young's like not that good of a defender. So that's why I really want LaMelo Ball is because he can shoot the ball. Probably not as good as Trae Young, but pretty dang close to Trae Young. But but also like he can defend. He can also defend the ball pretty well. So that's why I want to start LaMelo. But the guy I'm benching is Trae Young because because like why would I want to get rid of that good of a shooter? I'm yes, yes, the defense isn't there, but that's why we have Dyson. That's why we got Naw, which we'll get into later. But and then John Morant. I'm not gonna talk about it because like we just spent like 2 minutes talking about it. Like I don't know. I don't want yes, I don't want the issues there. I don't want the issues to come with John Morant. So no, that's my list.
All right, Trace.
I was kind of on the
Pretty
fence.
surprising list there, Jordan.
I was
Huh?
kind of on the fence about
I
it.
said pretty surprising list there, Jordan. Not gonna lie.
Well, okay. Okay. Well, also there, like, okay. Well, also like he is the youngest out of the three as well. So like that's more, youth there. He was in the same draft. He was in the same draft class as Aneka Kongu actually.
Yeah,
They were
He went.
teammates at Chino Hills. Yep.
He went third, I believe, or did he go second?
I think he
LaMelo
went
went second
third.
or
Did he?
third.
I
He
thought he
might have
was
been
third.
third.
I
Oh,
think
thought
he was.
right.
I
Yeah,
think he was third.
It was Ant. It was Ant. James Wiseman
Yep.
and
Yep.
I
LaMelo.
forgot about James Wiseman, man.
But also like he does. Also like he does that. He does have that Chino Hill connection with Aneka Kongu as well. So
Yeah.
there's more. There's more of a connection right there as well. That is, it's like it's like so he's younger and he's got that connection. And like I mentioned before, like he's taller than Trae Young, and and Andrew said no bias, so I wasn't gonna have bias by starting Trae Young. So
Andrew, I do have to ask, are you, just to make sure I understand this correctly, are you asking like us to choose the guy that we would like to like place him on the Hawks roster, or just in general, the guy we want to use to like are you talking about like which one can we like? Would we rather place on the like this Hawks roster? Or are you saying which one would we rather build a roster with?
Yeah, no, I never said anything about a Hawks roster. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
we're not the GM of the Atlanta Hawks because that would throw Trae Young out of the question. I just said if you're the GM for an NBA team who's looking for a point guard,
yeah.
which out of
That's
those
what I want.
three, yeah,
Okay.
we're not. Yeah, I never said anything about the Atlanta
Well,
Hawks.
yeah, I know. That's
Oh,
why I
okay.
was.
I mean, okay. I mean, okay. Like, still. I mean, okay. Well, still. Okay. Well, still. Like, my list doesn't change. Like, even though I mean, because like, even if I'm because like, even if, I mean, even if I'm not like a GM for like a Hornets or a Grizzlies, I would still want Lamelo for because of how young he is and his height. I mean,
Yeah, that's why I was asking Angie because
okay.
John said a thing about a Kongwu. Then I was like, wait a minute, are we saying like that connection counts? Like he's going on the Hawks? That's what I was asking. But
Okay, okay, my bad. I thought we were thinking like as the Hawks GM, but still,
I
I
was
mean,
too.
still,
I was
okay,
too.
yeah, okay.
That's
Well,
what I want to be sure. But since we're not, I don't think it changes my answer a bit. Now I was on the fence about this, and I thought I had my list ready, but I gotta be honest. John kind of changed my mind here, and I'm gonna switch it around a little bit.
okay.
I too am gonna start Lamelo Ball, and here's why. Lamelo Ball has for him to be as versatile, quick with his size and his speed is quite ridiculous. Now I did see that 76 point or 78 point performance that he had at Chino Hills. Though it was pretty impressive, I do have to put an asterisk besides that performance because there was a video that counted how many of those points were cherry picked, and like 56 of those points were cherry picked points, and it was kind of lame.
They're
Not,
still points though.
I mean, they are still points. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still points. I'm not going to say it's not impressive. I do have to put a little asterisk beside it, though, but that doesn't change my answer. LaMelo Ball, I always thought is one of the most underlooked stars in the NBA, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the Charlotte Hornets. I think if he was on a majority of any other NBA franchise, his name and his talent would be more well known. But because Charlotte is unfortunately one of the most poorly ran franchises, and not just the NBA, but of all sports, they have a tendency to take talent and absolutely drown it. Same thing happened with Kemba Walker. He was always one of the most underrated stars because Charlotte drowned him, and I think that's what's happening to Lamelo Ball here.
Honestly, Terry Rozier too, until he got into all
Yep,
this trouble.
Yep, Terry Rozier too. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. And I want to say, if you just take Lamelo Ball with face value, he's the most well-rounded player out of all the three. He's a phenomenal shooter. He too is a great playmaker. He's got the best size, and he plays. I would say Jaw plays the best defense out of the three, but Jaw is just such a liability in other areas. I'm not even considering him. So LaMelo, I'd say, is going to be the best for defensive purposes too. So I think if you just want a security blanket for a guy that's going to lead your franchise in the most sustainable way possible, it's got to start with LaMelo Ball. Then I too am going to bench Trae Young because obviously he's the best playmaker, and not just out of the three, but of all the NBA. But he's gone inconsistent in terms of shooting, and he's such a defensive liability. And now, let's say like to kind of open up the argument of what's going to happen to Trey when he comes back. If he can come back and be like the version of Trey he was last year, in my opinion, the best version of Trey Young, then that's going to make a difference. That's when you get the best side Trey Young. But even if you compare that to LaMelo Ball, defense comes in a factor. And Trey Young, he's just one of the worst offenders in the league. He puts in minimal effort. His size puts him at such a huge disadvantage, and it's a big concern. And you also have to consider his turnover issues. That leads me to bench John Morant. Like John said, not even going to get into it. That goes without saying. Character
Yeah.
issues are out the window. Now, when he does play, he's mad impressive, and I do think he's the best offender out of the three. But because he's such an off-court liability, I'm not even going to consider it because he's giving me no reason to consider otherwise. So start LaMelo, bench Trey, cut John Morant.
Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on my list because we're already 15 minutes in and we have 4 Hawks games we need to get to. Absolutely ridiculous how much praise you're giving LaMelo Ball. Now, I do agree what you say about the Hornets situation, putting him in a bad spotlight because I will say because I kind of see the Charlotte Hornets a little bit as a New York Giant slash Cleveland Brown situation because players thrive once they leave there. Now, PJ Washington was one of the best scorers in the Eastern Conference when he was with Charlotte. But nobody really appreciated his scoring ability until they saw what he did in that playoff run for the Dallas Mavericks, even though he was doing that years before in Charlotte. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt there. But scoring wise, I think LaMelo Ball is highly inconsistent and very, very overrated. Overrated because the amount of bad shots he takes in one game is outrageous. Look, I'm a Trey Young lover, do or die. I love that guy, but I mean, listen, Trey Young, we all know he's a momentum killer at times, but
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball is most definitely a momentum killer himself. So I mean, I'm not again. I'll get into my side of the argument more like maybe later down the road because I don't want to go too much over time. But and once these players actually get traded, if any of them do get traded, then we'll revisit this conversation and I'll defend my argument a little bit more. But just to give you guys my list, first and foremost, without a doubt, Trey Young is 100% the guy I'm going after because there is not a single playmaker in the world that I take over Trey Young. Because if you can just talk him down into being the number one scoring option and take a step back and let somebody else pave the way, then what he can do for his teammates is bar none. I mean, and listen, I will say he is a defensive liability. He absolutely is.
Where did you get that poster, by the way? I'm curious. Where did you get that?
I got that for Christmas a couple years ago. It was the year after we made that playoff run, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you are gonna go after a guy like Trey Young, you're gonna have to formulate a good defensive game plan to counter his liability. So there are some more bumps in the road if you're gonna go after a guy like Trey Young. I will admit. Secondly, I'm gonna bench John Morant because I feel like John Morant is easily a step behind Trey Young and 3,000 steps ahead of LaMelo Ball when it comes to all around athleticism. And I agree with your point, Chase. I think he absolutely is the best offender out of the three. And LaMelo Ball, you can get your overrated self out of here. He is most definitely third on my list. But we got some Hawks basketball to get into, and I love it. We're already starting with some controversy. I always love it when we have completely different lists because it shows just a
Well, me and
variety
John
of
were the same.
viewpoints.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
listen,
I didn't expect you to like completely cut Lamelo. I didn't expect you to like to show John Morant that much praise.
Yeah, the fact that you didn't cut Jaw is crazy to me.
look, personal issues aside, John Morant is light years better than LaMelo Ball. And if I'm an organization, I'm looking at his off court issues because I'm a guy. I believe you can fix that kind of stuff. If it's off the court issues, those things can always be fixed. I'll have to go Coach Carter on him or something, but I'll do whatever necessary
I
to
don't even
get
know
that
if
guy
Coach Carter
straightened
could
up.
say that, man.
Listen, Coach Carter can do anything he wants because he's Coach Carter. But speaking of coaching, Quinn Snyder, man, he has made strides in this Atlanta Hawks team, and he has really rebounded the amount of off-court stuff he's had to deal with in terms of Trae Young being out and Kristaps Porzingis being on and off the court, and then Zachary going out in Phoenix. But thank goodness he had a speedy recovery because we saw him again in San Antonio. But before any of that took place, the Hawks had their first ever Peach City Edition game hosting the Detroit Pistons, who people are putting head to head with the defending champs, the OKC Thunder, because the Pistons only have 2 losses on the year and they have won 12 straight basketball games. And the
Yeah,
Hawks gave them
crazy.
their 10th win in a row. And so I kind of spoiled it, but by now you guys should already know if you keep up with Hawks basketball. We did lose that game. We were without Zachary Richese. We were without. No, Kristaps Porzingis did play that game. No, did Kristaps play that game? Why am
No,
I
he did
having?
not.
No, no,
Okay, I didn't
Kristoff.
think so. I was hoping I wasn't forgetting anything, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
no,
probably started that game.
Yeah, so no Zachary we should say because of his fall in Phoenix, and
Yeah.
no Kristaps Porzingis. So we were already outmanned when it came to our big man and our forwards. But Okongwu and Muhammad Gay have had such a smooth connection on the court leading up to this game that we kind of figured that they'd be able to have what it takes to secure the inside threat that the Pistons pulleys, especially behind Kate Cunningham, because Kate Cunningham has become one of the best rim attackers in the NBA. But like I said, we did lose this game. But man, was it competitive! It was one of those games that you take a look at that had the Hawks made a few more shots down the stretch, then that game might have swung in the Hawks' favor because we did take them down to the final 5 minutes of that game. And yes, it took a couple of surges in the second and third quarter because there was a time before halftime that the Pistons looked like they were going to take full control. But in typical Hawks fashion and Quinn Snyder fashion, he rallied the troops, figured out what mismatches the Pistons were utilizing on their offensive side that we could counter to take away their easy baskets. And of course, rebounding is always an adjustment the Hawks need to make, especially when you're facing a team like the Pistons, who have done really good at cleaning the glass and getting those boards up for second chance opportunities. But like I said, we were already outmanned when it came to the center position and the forward position. So those were the adjustments Quinn Snyder had to make. I'm going to throw to you, Jordan, first. Why not you throw out some player stats? Because, man, Nikhil Alexander Walker, lackluster in the first half, but really came through in that second half. But there's so much others that could have contributed more in that fourth quarter. So why don't you throw some stats out there for us, John?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like I mean, it's like with the I mean, so since Zachary, KP, and of course Trae Young were all out due to injuries in this game, the starting five for the Hawks was Okongwu at the center, Johnson at the power forward, Jaquil at shooting guard, Vic Krejci at small forward, and Dyson at the point guard. Um, Winning scorer was Jalen Johnson, of course.
Yep.
25 points, dang near a triple double with 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Um, Okongwu fouled out of this game, unfortunately, but finished with 21 points, 1 rebound, and 3 assists. Nikhil Alexander Walker had 24 points,
Yep.
3 rebounds, 3 assists, and um and 0 steals, but also Jalen Johnson had 3 steals. Vic Krejci, which we'll get into later when we actually dive deep into the game, which some I want to talk about because that dude tried to save this game, but
And he did, man. He
unfortunately,
still had us in that game when everyone had us out.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But Dyson finished with 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. And then our bench was pretty quiet. But yeah, let's get into the game.
All right, Chase,
Um,
why don't you pave the way here?
I'll go ahead and just mention, like Andrew, you placed it on the platter by leading off talking about the size disadvantage the Hawks had with missing Kristaps. Now you look at this is a type of roster we talk about it all the time when we say depth, like how deep this roster is, and that's really on all positions, guard, forwards, and big men. So even without Kristaps Porzingis, you still have Naked Congo to start. You have Muhammad Gay, who had a great end to the season last year, and it's been nothing but phenomenal this season. So you would say even with the absence of Kristaps Porzingis, in terms of big man criteria like defensive presence in the paint, rim protection, getting boards off the glass, attacking at the rim, you should be fine. And that was the case for Muhammad Gay. But I think this is one of the worst performances I've seen a Congo play in a long time. And you
Sure.
look at his stat sheet, he had 21 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound. He even had 2 blocks in the steal, and he hit 4 threes. So you might be saying, Chase, why are you saying this is one of the worst performances he's ever had?
Because he fouled
Defense,
out.
not because he fouled out, because defensively, now I'm a little confused. This might have been a little bit on Quinn Snyder too, and I wasn't too sure what he had going on here. But defensively, he was used for all the wrong reasons. The Pistons were attacking us like heavy lead in the paint, and
Yeah.
Okongwu was
That's
a
and if I'm not mistaken, like that's what they were saying, like pregame, like during the broadcast, they were saying they were saying like that's where the Pistons special is getting in the paint, And
Exactly.
Cade Cunningham, the point guard, was tearing himself down there.
He was.
Not Jalen Durden or like the big men, but it was Cade Cunningham, which is
Oh,
why he's in
absolutely.
MVP conversations.
And you know what? You know where Congo was to defend that? Beyond the perimeter.
Yeah,
Chicago was playing such high up defense beyond the arc, and every time they drove inside, we had no big men in there to stop them. But we were only doing that with a Congu. When we brought in Muhammad Gay, that's when our paint defense was at its best. But when Congu came in, that's when it was at its worst. He was never inside the paint to stop the inside scoring. And his perimeter defense, his great length can contest any shot. But the problem is he's not the most quick and versatile man on the court. So if you drive by him, he's gone. He's out of the play. He's not going to be there in time to play inside defense. And that was the biggest problem is he wasn't. And the numbers prove it right here. When Muhammad Gay was on the court, his plus minus was 17. We had a positive performance of 17 points when Muhammad Gay was on the court. Do you know what a Congo's plus minus was? Negative minus 22. We had a minus 22 disadvantage when Congo was on the court, and that's all because of the inside defense. So you can say offensively he contributed, which he definitely did in great areas, but it was counteracted with how poor defense he was playing on the inside, and there's nothing we could do to
yeah.
stop it. But we had him set up beyond the perimeter. So it makes me wonder if Quinn Snyder had it designed that way. But if he did, why did it never change in the second half when
I
they were absolutely bullying us inside the paint all night?
The Q was minus 19.
Yeah,
yes.
we had a lot of really bad. Muhammad Gay was the only one on the Hawks that had a really positive plus minus.
Yeah,
Everybody else was either mid or just terrible.
You bring up a good point, Chase, because early in the game, and this is what I can appreciate about this Pistons team, because they play the most simplified game of basketball, but their execution is better than anybody else in the league when it comes to that. Because the right from tip off, the Pistons game plan in every single one of these games up into this 12-game winning streak is to establish the paint. That's how the Pistons are going to get you. If they can establish the paint, then they feel like they can win the overall basketball game. And it's not like they're trying to do anything flashy, because look what they do when they're bringing it up the court. Because physicality is what this Pistons team's leaning in on, because they've got size. They've got rim attackers who can finish under harsh contact, and they want to utilize that because it brings teams like the Hawks in this kind of situation to disadvantage. And it's off ball movement. It's setting screens in the post to allow lanes to open up for inside guys like Cade Cunningham to get into the paint, and then rebounding. Everybody on that team crashes the boards, and it makes it hard for the Hawks to box out because they come from all kinds of different directions. And another thing they do is attack the midcourt. The Hawks all night long had such a tough time bringing the ball up half court because the Pistons are one of the few teams in the league that like to implement half court pressure and make you earn getting to the wing. And that's something that you don't see from a lot of teams nowadays. But the Pistons force a lot of turnovers that way. And it's like the Hawks couldn't limit the Pistons from getting easy buckets. And that's how they're able to maintain control early. And it's kind of off putting, Chase, because you said Okongwu was playing so high. And to give him the liberty to be in the paint would have been, like you said, Chase, more effective. Because you got to remember, one of the best inside scorers they've had this year, Asar Thompson, which is the brother of the Rockets, Amon Thompson, has been one of the best inside scorers in the Eastern Conference. But he was hurt. He was absent from this game. So
yeah.
it's like you didn't have that threat from the wing, which again limits a Congress
Asar
from
Thompson
being.
played. He played 24 minutes.
Oh, that's right. He did. That's right. He was hurt the previous game and he made his return in Atlanta. Okay, well, then that makes my point even more valid. If you have guys like Cade Cunningham and Asar Thompson who are going to be the front court for the Pistons, if you're a guy like a Kongu and you need to establish the paint defensively, you need him back there. You can't have him up high because if he gets blown by due to his pure side and lack of speed, you've got nobody there to compliment him or give him any cushion when it comes to help defense. So I think you make an excellent point, Chase, and I think that's the reason why the Pistons pulled away late. That and we couldn't stop sending them to the line. We had a big problem contesting their layups in the fourth quarter, and they had a lot of late free throws. But Joyner, you said you want to talk about Vic Krejci, or heat check, as we now call him around these parts, because even when the Hawks were seemingly out of the game statistically, he put up some incredible shots late in the game to keep us
Yeah,
in it.
I mean, yeah. So like Vic Reggie, he finished with 9 points on the game. Um, but but six of those points came in like the final two or three. I think six of those 9 points came in like the final minute because there's a reason why we call him Heat Check. Check spelled Czech spelled as in Czechoslovakia, where he's from. This man did like. I wish we could show you guys, but obviously we're gonna get copyrighted. This man like put up some like crazy 3 point shots to keep us in this game.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like one of them like almost came from like the logo. But I mean, but yeah, it was ridiculous that like there's a reason why I love him so much, and why I believe that like he should be getting like 6 man minutes over Muhammad Gay and Luke Kennard. But I mean, yeah, like I mean, Vid. Vid should be Vid's going to be a starter. Wait, we for some reason trade him, which means like God forbid we ever trade him. I mean, if we do trade him somewhere, he is going to start for a team somewhere.
I,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm just grabbing my charger. That's why I'm walking
yeah,
out to the car. But yeah, so the Hawks fall on this one. But moving on to San Antonio, this is something that the Hawks just came off a long West Coast
yeah.
road trip,
Go.
and we only had.
Let me take this over because y'all were at a wedding.
Well, yeah. I'm just gonna. I'll
Yeah,
get to that. Yeah, here in a minute. But
yeah,
yeah. So we got back from this long road trip. We want to establish some home cooking. Being back in Atlanta. So it's unfortunate that we had to hit the road again after this one game homestand against the Pistons to go face the Spurs, who just lost Victor Wembanyama for some pretty critical time. And it's not just Victor they were missing; they were down a lot of their key factors in this game, including. Did De'Aaron Fox play in this
Yeah,
game?
he played.
Okay, I
yeah.
figured he played. But they're missing a lot of bench pieces as well, which kind of measured the Hawks in a way because we too, again, this is Zachary didn't make an early return, which some people said was unwarranted, thinking he should have had some more rest. But regardless, we were all happy to see us get a little bit more of an edge from the forward position. But this was a game, just given the Spurs IR list, that we should have handled. But like Jordan said, Chase and I were in Texas for a wedding, not close enough to San Antonio
Yeah,
where we could have gone to the
there's no way
game.
we
But
would have been at this game if this game was in San Antonio.
but don't think we didn't think about it. But we were unfortunately 5 hours away from San Antonio, so we couldn't make it happen. But Chase and I were out with the rest of the groomsmen during this game, so I'm gonna let Jorner take over since Chase and I weren't really able to capture it live ourselves.
I mean, yeah. So, so coming back to, I mean, so like Andrew said, this game was in San Antonio. No Wemby, so we thought that this game should have been, like an easy win for us, but unfortunately, that's not how things played out. But we're back with our normal five. Zachary made a surprising return back from that scary fall he had against
The
the
Suns.
against the Suns, which we were shocked that he was back that early. But jokingly, but I mean, but we did say that that we weren't gonna be surprised if Zachary didn't have the best game of all time, which I think we jinxed him because
Yeah.
I'll read you the stats. So Jalen Johnson finished with 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists, a dang near triple double. Uh, um, um, Kristaps Porzingis came back with 16 points, 5 boards, and 2 blocks. And Nikhil Alexander-Walker, he had himself a game.
He
He
really
did.
did.
Finished with 38 points, 13% true shooting, 8 for 10 from three, 80% from the 3-point line,
Ridiculous, man.
and finished with no steals. But Dyson had 3 steals. Finished with 8 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, and Zachary finished with the best stat line of all time: 2 points, 1 for 10 shooting, 0 for 5 from three. So, Zachary, we apologize for saying that you weren't. Which you mean again? We weren't expecting him to go for like 30. We weren't expecting him to drop like a 40-point triple double. Obviously, after that scary fall, because like that fall easily could have like ended his career.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, it's like the first half. It's like the first half. We finished leading by 6 points, 34-28. The Spurs came crawling back, which De'Aaron Fox went crazy in this game. It seemed like for the first half, with the Hawks and the Spurs just couldn't miss. They were doing shot for shot, just couldn't miss. But then we take a commanding lead in the third quarter, finishing with 32 points in the third quarter. The Spurs only had 21 points, but the fourth quarter is where we fell apart. Only scoring 34 points, and they dropped 40 points on us too.
Only scoring 34 points.
It's
Yeah.
And Jordan, I think you said it right there. I think what you just explained summed up the game. Overall, it was a pretty even matchup. It was just that abysmal second quarter that just seemed to really put us out. Because, we had a really good first quarter. We had a good rhythm going. And you look overall, I mean, we shot 56% overall, 54% beyond the arc, 23s out of 37 taken. So offensively, it was very efficient. It was just a massive defensive collapse in the second half that kind of dug us up a big hole. We resurged in the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter was just a back and forth battle, which eventually we lost. And and I don't want to say this was a horrible loss because I know Victor Wembanyama is missing some time, and even without Wembanyama, I mean the Spurs still have a good roster. De'Aaron Fox, Julian Champagne has just been a phenomenal role piece for the Spurs. Harrison Barnes is still one of the best defenders in the NBA, especially inside. Dev Vassell is growing. Luke Cornett, Keldon Johnson had a great game off the bench, got 32 minutes actually. So I mean the Spurs still had pieces there. It just seemed like obviously, defensively, the Spurs had a collapse because the Hawks were having their way on the offensive side of the ball all night, especially in inside scoring, even on outside. Nikhil Alexander-Walker is attacking on all aspects. You know how great he is at contact finishing and acrobatic finishing inside, but then he combined that with 8 threes beyond the arc, posted almost a 40-point performance for him. But defensively, there's just nothing we could do. Like Angie said, I wasn't able to watch it live. I have caught some of the highlights, and based on what I've seen, I just had to compliment the Spurs ball movement. They knew we had Kristaps back, Zachary back, so our size was back. So they counteracted that with great ball movement, so they were able to ease their way inside. They did hit 17 3-pointers themselves, so they did attack pretty well beyond the arc as well. And it's just first and third quarter, especially the third quarter, the Hawks were able to contain the defensive lead, but they surged in the second and fourth quarter, almost having a 50-point second quarter. And if you ask me, John, that's where he ultimately lost the game. So I don't want to say it's a bad loss for the Hawks. It's just defensively, we should have expected better. And it's just
it's a disappointing loss because
without
Wemby, like we should have played better. I mean,
When I look at it,
Wemby is, he's probably gonna finish top 3 in the MVP.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, and you can tell defensively, like the Spurs were absolutely missing Wembanyama. But if you look at their offensive numbers, it's like Wembanyama was there the entire time, and that's where it got frustrating as Hawks fans.
And it's one of those games that really resembles what the Hawks' biggest issue has been over the last few years. It's because you look at the shooting splits and how the Hawks have fared towards the end of season rankings in the last 5 years. It feels like we've been in the top 10. Some of the years, the top five when it comes to offensive efficiency and overall points per game. And the Hawks did their fair share. We scored almost 120 points in this game, but we gave up 130 on the opposite end. And you talk about Nikhil Alexander Walker, early in the year or even before the season started, we talked about how this free agent pickup from Minnesota could be the most intriguing for all the free agents that has moved to a new team because Nikhil Alexander Walker was stepping into a new role in Atlanta, something he's never been a part of in Minnesota, and now joining a starting five that he's really had to increase his ownership and becoming one of the number one scoring options since Trae Young's been gone, and he's excelled at it fantastically. It's like you can tell that over the offseason he really wants to establish there to be something striking about his game and how he scores, and he does that very well. He's very shifty. He's got an elite dribbling package. He can move around screens. He can move players and kind of prompt them where they need to be on the court to minimize the defender he has in front of him, and that's how his scoring from the three-point line has expanded because he can create open shots for himself because he's got that ability and that agility to move around and kind of get open. And he's been able to knock down the shot because he's been working on it. That's been something he specialized. We saw it in that Western Conference Final Series last year against Oklahoma City, that the three-point shot was something he really leaned on, and he's just even elevated that even more. But I want to say this right now. Yes, we lost. Yes, it was tough. Yes, Zachary struggled. Anyone out there who is using games like this for Zachary as leverage and already calling him prematurely as a bust? Because look, yes, he was a first round pick in what might have been one of the most underwhelming NBA drafts in NBA history. But you've got to understand that what he showed in the last 4 months of last season that almost propelled him to win Rookie of the Year had he not been lined up with guys like Victor Wembanyama. Then who?
Oh, you
And
mean
then
Stephon Castle? It was Stephon.
well, I know. I was just saying, like, I was just comparing him to like players that he was around. But yeah, Stephon Castle did win the Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
But yeah, but then you look at the kind of role he stepped into year two, and he's been great at it. Like, obviously, it's not all flashy numbers like we saw in February of last year or anything, but he's really implemented himself as a true forward this year around guards like Jalen Johnson and around centers like Kristaps and Okongwu, and he does that very well. And yes, he's going to struggle from the field. He's a year two guy. He's still getting established as a pure scorer, but he still scores on the inside so well, and he is
Keep in
really
mind,
good.
he just came back from a scary fall.
Yes,
Like
and he's still
that's the
really,
main thing. He
but
just like one wrong flip, and he probably gonna got paralyzed. And yeah, so
yeah, but he's still really good in transition, and that's
yes,
something that he continued to showcase even in that loss of the Spurs because he was able to play make for his guys that were going down with him.
And
But
I do
ultimately,
also
like
I
like
do
Chase like Chase said, defense wasn't there, and that's ultimately why he lost his game. But
hey
hurry up, Chase, because we got to get into his third game.
before we transition away from Zachary, I do also want to say I do kind of feel. I mean, you got to remember this is his second year in the league, and with the roster as loaded as this, he's still kind of trying to find his place and his role. His asset to the team is just as important as everybody else. And I mean, think about last year; it took him half a season to find the best version of himself. And Zachary say after the All Star break last year was one of the best. Forwards in the league. If you ask me, and he almost run him rookie of the year. I think the same thing can happen here. Give him more time. I wouldn't be surprised if we see. What you give me that face for? What did I
Oh,
say?
because you just repeated the exact same thing I said, so I was just
yeah, you did.
yeah, you literally said the exact same thing I just did.
Oh, my bad.
It's the
Well,
it's the twin telepathy working like in real time.
Yeah,
Or
you're getting a
or
lot.
just Chase needs to turn up those Beats earphones he's got in right there.
You're getting a live look at Twin telepathy. Basically, what I'm saying, I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens this year. Wait till he gets in a more comfortable role and a roster so loaded where he finds his spot and his rhythm, and we're gonna once again see the best side come out of him. And
I,
yeah, and
I,
then all those. Yeah, people are putting way too much pressure on him because it's rare you see a. Okay, I'm sorry. Apparently, I'm taking too much shine and I'm getting on Andrew's nerves again. So you go right ahead.
what? No, I just think it's funny that you're saying the same thing that
No,
I'm saying.
good. Good.
Anyways, moving on to the third game because we're already at the 45-minute mark. We do got two games we need to get into. Um, we got the after this loss to the Spurs, the Hawks now dropping two straight after that great West Coast road trip we got. Obviously, it's a little bit of a humbling feeling because we are riding such a high. This loss put us back in the play-in spot for the Eastern Conference standings. So we really need to rally and get a win against the most dreaded team in the NBA. Absolutely nobody wants to face this team because they are so feared with their 2-win record. The
Yeah.
New Orleans
Our best,
Pelicans.
my second favorite team because what they did for us on draft night. Everything was Dyson Daniels.
Yes.
It was Dyson. What else did we get out of that trade? Dyson. Um, Larry Nance, I believe we also got.
Yeah,
Larry
Larry
Nance is
Nance is
good.
also in New Orleans. Yep.
Yeah.
But the Pelicans have really been a good sidekick to the Atlanta Hawks over this offseason and the offseason prior, for sure. So
Yeah.
obviously we want to send our condolences to New Orleans. And we got the reason why I want to move on so quick is because we've got a lot to unpack in this game, especially.
Yeah.
Starting off, want to tip my cap to the traveling crowd of the Atlanta Hawks who absolutely flooded the Pelican Stadium this game. Now, yes, that had a lot to do with most of them being Falcons fans that traveled for the Saints game that was played on the very next day, but it was the start of what Atlanta calls the New Orleans sweep. And it all starts with how we perform against the New Orleans Pelicans. And we talk about Kristaps Porzingis and the type of unicorn we want him to be in terms of how he can score inside and the favors that he does for us. Now, when you look at the Pelicans defensively, the shape shifting they've done in their coaching staff with their roster. Zion's been lean, mean, hungry machine, but he hasn't been as aggressive as the Pelicans want him to. Jordan Poole is still Jordan Poole, and so on. But man, Kristaps Porzingis, what a fantastic game. Arguably the best game Kristaps has ever played as an Atlanta Hawk. I'd say not even arguably. Think it's pretty established on that front. And he even reached his 1,000th career point milestone in this game. So this game was all about Kristaps Porzingis and
Which
all
like that's kind
about
of shocking because of how what no, that's kind of shocking because of like how long he's been in the league.
And
Like
that's how you know injuries has played such a factor in his career because like you said he has been in the league in a long time. He's made impact on all the teams he's played for. It's just that's another that it kind of makes you sad because he's such a prolific scorer, such a great big man. But that's just a picture of how injuries has really affected his career.
yeah,
yeah,
but like I was saying, Kristaps Porzingis, yeah, arguably the best game of his career. But then again, I lost my train of thought. Um, it's okay. Chase, you just go ahead and take the floor. I forgot what I was going to say there. But since I took away your talking point, Chase, you go ahead and lead us off here.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, and Jorner mentioned it earlier. The previous games weren't the last time we were talking about beat Krivich. Even off he goes right back on the road, and the flame is still lit. We got another version of the Heat Czechoslovakian. He ended up with 21 points with 27 minutes off the bench, and that included 7 3-pointers. A majority of those coming in the second half, and he was a main guy who kind of slammed the door shut on the New Orleans Pelicans to kind of solidify this dominant win in New Orleans. I
which
mean,
like
to
look
be
at the box score that's what he shot was 3 points.
yeah, it really was, and that's
Yeah,
all we
when he finished 7% from shooting, and that's all he shot was 3 point shots.
yeah.
So
Actually, To your point, Jordan, I mean, we had all the inside scoring covered with Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Johnson, as mentioned, 1 assist away from a triple double. Nikhil Alexander Walker. So with them taking care of the inside business, our main guy from deep was Vic Krivich, and of course, Luke Kennard had a couple 3 pointers himself. Same with Nall, of course, and then Kristaps as well. So I mean, it was just all around just a dominant performance, offensively and defensively, and it was kind of expected because I mean, this is a Pelican roster, as Andrew mentioned, that's just completely depleted. I mean, there is really no true identity, no true direction in this Pelicans organization right now. So when you have a team like Atlanta that not only just wants to go in here to take care of business and complete the Atlanta sweep, but you also playing a team that holds your destiny in your hands. The worse they do, the better your future is going to be. So, I mean, when you have the matter to take that in your own hands to help your future as well, of course, we're going to take care of business in dominant fashion. And also, I want to say the Pelicans lost the game as soon as the admin walked into the stadium and saw section, I don't know what it was, 200.
328.
Yeah, it was section 328. They had it taped over and they punched 28-3 to make fun of the Atlanta Falcons. And the moment the admin saw
They
that and
actually did
posted,
that.
they did. And the moment the admin saw that and posted it on the Hawks Instagram, I was like, "Oh, dude, it's over." They have
Why
no
would the
idea what
Pelicans do that? Like why would the
they,
Pelicans do that? Like, I mean, I get I get like the Saints doing that, but why the
they
I think
Pelicans?
it's because they knew that there's going to be a lot of Falcons fans at the game, so they kind of want to troll them a little bit. I thought it was funny.
hey,
Personally, I thought it was funny.
and look,
Yeah,
the Falcon slash Hawks fans took care of business by being extremely loud on every single plus explosive play the Hawks had, even to the point that Bob Rathbun was blown away. He said himself. He said he feels like he's in State Farm Arena right now with how many Hawks fans at the game and the amount of noise they're making. So a very
I think
impressive
Carson said
all
the exact
around.
same thing, like in the post game
Yeah,
interview, like he said something like the same as I'm saying like the same as like 50% Hawks fans or something like that.
There was a
yeah,
lot,
it,
man,
it was ridiculous.
and you
Which I
can
mean, like, I
really
kind of get because their team is 2-15, so like
And you can really see the players appreciate it on their sideline as well. I mean, there's several plays in that game, like you said, Chase, where the fans really expressed their passion. Jalen Johnson had a really nice break in from the top of the key that led to an explosive slam. And I mean, that crowd erupted. He even gave the crowd a couple of fist bumps because the Hawks were in the middle of one of their big runs in that game. But I just want to just narrow down, like we talk about Kristaps Porzingis and how well he played in that game and just how he was everywhere and he really asserted his dominance on both ends of the court. And that's why it paved way for him to get most of his easy baskets. And again, you talk about transition because the Hawks forced a lot of turnovers in this game, which led to Kristaps quickly being on the other end of the court and, taking those shots. And then he even had his post game back, which is something that he's kind of fallen off on a little bit in these last few games. But he really was able to score from post moves because he's always been a post specialist since he's been in the league. And that's something that won't ever go away. And that's going to be his main emphasis of attack. But this is the most consistent he's been in that aspect. But I just really want to pay homage to the Hawks defense in this game because in today's NBA, I don't care what kind of roster you're facing, holding any NBA team to under 100 points in today's era is something that deserves a round of applause. And that was just phenomenal, holding the Pelicans to 98 points. And that's because of how we limited them to bad shots. There were several possessions in that game where they had to force off a bad shot when the shot clock expired because we would smother them from the top. We take away their passing lanes. We didn't allow them to really have much off-ball movement because of the way we were bouncing out screens. The post was taken away. The rim was protected. Everything Quinn Snyder wants defensively from his big guys was executed. And Nikhil Alexander Walker, you talked about it, Chase. You said it, Joyner. He played another star-studded game here just defensively. He was quick with his hands. He was quick putting up shots. And Chase, you talked about how the Pelicans lost this game after the admin exposed what they did in their little stands. But let's talk about what happened when they actually lost this game because there's my man over here, Vic Creechy, trying to dribble out the clock. Sportsmanship.
oh
Everybody's on
yeah,
the sidelines, waving, shaking hands. The game is over. There's no reason why there needs to be any additional plays going on. Right, Derek Queen. Are we clear about that, Derek Queen?
Our
Because
draft pick, Derek Queen. Don't forget our draft
pretty
pick.
ironic that we
Yeah,
drafted Derek Queen
I think half I think half
and
of Atlanta thinks Derek Queen's an Atlanta Hawk. By the way,
and I think this instance right here should really open your eyes that hey guys, he is not affiliated with the Atlanta Hawks.
Nope.
Joyner, why don't you walk me through there? What happened at the end of the game with our old pal Derek Queen?
Yeah, so we were dribbling at the clock, being respectful. Being respectful because we were already up by 27. Hold on,
we're up by 19.
19 at that point. Yeah, we were by 19, and so game was over. Final seconds, we were up. Like you said, Andrew, a bit was like dribbling at the clock, trying to get the game over with. But Mr. Derek Queen decided to stat pad like the little he is. And he steals the ball from Vet, and I think it was like either a dunk or a layup. Either way he brought their but he brought their point to up by only 2 points, from 96 to 98. So but but you know what, he's a but like he's a rookie, so like rookies do stupid things, but there's like an unwritten rule where you don't steal the ball like there's like a very unwritten rule where you don't steal the ball at the end of the game of a blowout and stat pad. You just don't do that.
And
So
I'm glad you hold on, I'm glad you said that, Joyner,
yeah,
because you said that you mentioned how he's a rookie and that this is something he's going to learn from. Now Chase, if I'm not mistaken, Jalen Johnson addressed the exact same thing, and Derek Queen had a very interesting response to that, didn't he, Chase?
oh yeah, Jalen Johnson. If you don't know, he made a tweet, kind of like you said, Joyner, saying, hey, he's a rookie. He'll learn that this is just an unwritten rule of basketball. It's not. It's out of respect. You don't do this. Where Derek Queen replied, he actually reposted that on his X account and made his little reply. And you think he'd take the opportunity to like do the mature thing and be
Apologize.
like, hey guys, my bad. It was in the moment thing. I didn't mean anything by it. I won't do it again. No, he retweeted the tweet and then replied and said 44 days. And do you know what happens in 44 days, John?
yeah, I will be in attendance at the next Pelicans game, at Pelicans Hawks game.
So
Uh,
apparently, Derek
wait,
Queen
actually,
saying
hold
in
on. Is
four.
it hold on. I don't even know
Oh,
if
it
that
is.
it is.
Yep, it's the day the
Okay.
Pelicans comes to Atlanta. John, you will be in attendance. So basically, what Derek Quinn is saying is, next time I see you guys, I'm going to show you that I don't give a crap what you say, and I find that no disrespect behind this. And you know who else doesn't find this disrespectful? Joel Myers, the play-by-play announcer for the New Orleans
Oh,
Pelicans.
please.
Well, when Bob Rathbun and Dominic saw this happen, they had the appropriate response. They were like, "Oh, come on, Derek Queen, what are you doing? This is disrespectful. Just let the game end." Joel Myers was like, "Why is Vic Krivich getting mad over there? I grew up playing that. It's not over until it's over. As long as the clock is run, there's still ball to be played." I'm like, "Shut up, dude. You're mad because you're broadcasting a 2-16 team. You know good and well that this is flat out disrespect, and it is the equivalent of in baseball to hitting a grand slam when you're up 16-5. Everybody
I
knows
think
that.
that's different. I think that's different.
Well,
Like,
everybody.
yes, it is different because here's the thing, like, because like I'm pretty sure, like, yes, you can like try to hit a grand slam, but like, because like at the end of the day, you can't control where that ball goes.
Well, yeah, but what I mean by that is baseball players say it's to the baseball players it's the equivalent. Baseball players say it's just an unwritten rule. It's out of respect. You don't do that. Same thing here. It's just an unwritten rule out of respect. You just don't do that.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna do this real quick. Just I'm not kicking you guys out. I just gotta do this. Just it's gotta be me and Derek Queen for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Um, Derek Queen, I hope you're listening right now. What I want you to watch me lick my chompers because I have to moisten my lips to say, what on earth do you think you're going to do when you come to Atlanta? Because what did you do when you were in your home stadium that had 60% of Hawks fans? You did nothing, pal. You did nothing. And that's why the Hawks didn't want to keep you around, buddy. And you know what? We should actually be thanking you because you gave us the ability to have a lottery pick. So when you come to a State Farm Arena that's going to have 100% Hawks fans, what do you think you're going to do? You might have, you know what? I'll give you 12 points. 12 points off your turnovers, bum. You ain't gonna do a dang thing. You ain't gonna be a queen of nobody. You're gonna be a queen of your little loss that you're about taking Atlanta, buddy. Okay, you understand me, pal? You understand me? Okay, sorry guys. I think Dairy Queen got the message.
And when I upload these videos to YouTube, the thumbnails usually randomized, and I'm just praying
Please,
that's a
please,
clip it picks right there.
bring it
Please,
on, boys.
please pick that clip.
Bring it on,
I am
boys.
praying that's a clip it picks.
But look, man, the Hawks got a win on the road, and we finally were able to come back home on a back to back. And thankfully, we were playing the Pelicans of the Eastern Conference, the Charlotte Hornets. Now, for those who don't know, the Charlotte Hornets and the Hawks have a very rich history, so
No,
rich
I
that
didn't know this.
they apparently
I did not know this. I just
yeah, apparently they call the series the barbecue series, which listen, I've been a Hawks fan since as long as I've been about yay high, and I've never heard it referred to as the barbecue series. But Bob Rathbun, he enlightened me in last night's broadcast, and you learn something new every day. So guess what? The Hornets came to Atlanta for that soul fashion barbecue, and we talked about LaMelo Ball at the start of this game. But we didn't get LaMelo Ball at all in this game. He was over there in his little street clothes because he's had some off-court problems with his health personally. So it was already depleted Hornets, but they came off. They were also coming off a back-to-back. On Saturday night, they took down the LA Clippers, so they were feeling pretty good about themselves. Both teams coming off a win, ending some losing streaks. And the Hawks, they want to get out of the play-in bracket in the Eastern Conference, and this was the win to get it done. But for those who don't know, the Atlanta Hawks always struggle to find success against the Hornets. No matter how bad they are and no matter how good we are, this is a team that's always had our number. And this game seemed to be no different. Chase, why don't you start us off?
It was just a back and forth contest the entire time, and it was inconsistent problems all throughout the game. We saw it in the first half. Our main problem wasn't it was we got chances. Like the movement was there, the ball movement, the chemistry was there. But any good luck we had, for some reason, we could just knock down. There was a lid on that ram. A lot of the problems came on inside scoring, more specifically Dyson Dales. Dyson Dales took a lot of shots in this game, and in the first half, he had a lot of good looks right in front of the rim, and he would just miss the floaters, the layups, and we were just leaving points off the table. Kongwu and Muhammad Gay kind of the same problem. When they went and got a rebound, they would miss a putback layup. More points left on the table. And it's just things like that that could have put the game more in our favor and more manageable in our hands that we just didn't take advantage of, and the Hornets made us pay for it. And then in the second half, it was the same problem, but with 3-point shooting. For some reason, any shot we took beyond the arc, we could just not get to fall down. It was just opportunities left off the table. Now, where the Hawks were able to take big advantage of this game was on fast break opportunities. The Hornets did play a pretty sloppy game in their offensive side. Had a collective total of 15 turnovers, which the Hawks took 23 points off of the turnover. So the Hornets 17 fast break points. So anytime the Hornets made a mistake on the offensive end, the Hawks were able to quickly transition back to the offensive side of the ball and make the Hornets pay. And that's the aspect of the game the Hawks really took big advantage of. Now, John, I'm going to kind of kick it to you, and you can kind of point and direct how this game ended because we all saw it come down to the wire. The Hornets looked like they took a late lead. Nikhil Alexander Walker went on a big tear to get us back into it, but what almost cost us a game was the free throw line. There were two instances at the end of the game where Nikhil Alexander Walker went to the line and he made one of the two, which has continuously left the door open for Charlotte. But on that final possession, when the Hornets were going for the tie or for the win, who saved the day, John?
The nipple clamp, Nikhil Alexander Walker.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
let's
never
go,
the
baby.
nipple clamper. I never heard that before. I like that.
Well, I mean that's what he did. He clamped a nipple. So
The
gotta.
nipple
Oh,
clamp, baby.
the nipple clamp.
That's
I
gonna be
just
the
started
new
that one. I
reference.
just started that one like last night. I was like,
I
That's
didn't
so
even think about.
genius.
I was
yeah,
like, I don't know
clamp.
where the nipple clamp came from, but I like it.
I mean, like. I
Hey,
mean,
hey, hey, yeah.
a woman because like I just started that like last night like, as the I'm like a few minutes after the game ended because like man we just really clamped Knipple down. I was like wait Knipple clamp
The nipple.
Knipple.
I'm glad I could be an inspiration to
The
you, John.
nipple,
I mean
nipple
I
clamp.
mean yeah but yeah like two clutch stops by the two guys that we signed for their defense, Nikhil Alexander Walker and Dyson Daniels. I mean, yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if like Ethan said this, but but Con Knipple, he was killing us all last
Oh
night.
man.
That man could not be stopped.
He's going to continuously be one of the best shooters in the NBA, but
He's probably gonna win Rookie of the Year. Not gonna lie.
Sure,
I
man.
think he's well on that way,
Like,
especially with Cooper Flag kind of not living up to full expectations like everybody thought. But while we're
yeah,
talking about defense, there is one thing else I want to talk about on the defensive side that I don't think is talked about enough. Was there were two instances towards the end of the game where the Hornets took inbound from their side of the court, and the Hawks just completely read the game plan they had drew up. On the first instance, the play was to have three screens at the top of the key, and they had Miles Bridges run around. He was supposed to be open the paint to throw down a dunk to tie the game. But Dr. Daniels had waited behind the screens, knowing Miles Bridges was going to come around inside the paint. He was right there waiting for him. And the same thing happened on the final possession. I think supposed drawn up to go to Colin Sexton and then Con Canoopel, but because we had Colin Sexton wrapped up in the top of the key, it had to go straight to Con Canoopel, and their play just completely collapsed. And he tried to force him way inside to maybe draw a foul or something. But like you said, John, Nikhil Alexander Walker had it right out of the way. And the moment he went up with a shot, he had his hand right in the middle, slapped the ball down. The Hawks gained possession. That's all they wrote. So to credit the inbound defense, the Hawks read the Hornets game plan to a T and completely threw them off their track.
Look, Nah said nah. And when Nah says nah, nah means nah. But I want to talk about defensively what happened before all that transpired. Because you said when the Hornets took the lead in this game, but after the Hornets took the lead, the Hawks went on their 6-0 run, and the Hornets didn't score another point for the rest of the game. That's something I really want to hone in on because the Hornets had that 4-point lead in the final 2 minutes. And the Hawks, we were struggling to score from the 3-point line in that entire second half, especially in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter. So Quinn Snyder, after the Hornets took their lead, called a timeout, told the guys, hey, we've got to go back to where we can find consistency, and that's at the rim. The Hornets haven't been fouling a lot, so we're either going to have to draw fouls and reach a bonus, or we're just going to have to try to make contested shots, but do whatever you can to get inside. The following possession to kill Alexander Walker, who is the defensive hero, was also the offensive hero because he had a very nice spin inside the post after getting in from the top of the key that allowed him to get to his right hand and dish up a layup off the glass, which personally should have been an and one. So that cut the lead down to 2. The following possession, Jalen Johnson tried to post up to get inside the paint, but couldn't find any leverage. And out of desperation, he took a contested step back fade and somehow found the ball in the net, ties the game up. And then we got ourselves to the free throw line, which was ended end up being huge down the stretch because it allowed us to actually build some more momentum off the bonus and limited to what the Hornets could do defensively. But something that I feel like we have not talked about because you said Joyner. We signed Dyson Daniels because of his defense, but this is one of those instances where Dyson Daniels was doing very well at scoring inside. It's something that he's been very limited on offensive abilities. But there's even a point in the second quarter where he knocked down an open three, and I'm just happy to see that he still has confidence to take an open 3-point shot if the opportunity presents himself. But he came out of halftime. Dyson Daniels struggled to open up the second half, scoring inside. Kind of the same problems. He was able to get the opportunities to pull up open floaters, spin off defenders, try to hit off the glass, but they always fell short. He couldn't establish the bomb in net. But then, as the game progressed and the Hornets started picking momentum, Dyson really became our number one scoring option
Yeah.
for about 5-6 minutes there, and he was doing very well at getting these floaters and these layups to fall, and that got him the confidence to end up having a 20-point game, which goes unnoticed for a lot of fans because we're not used to Dyson Daniels being that efficient from the inside when it comes to scoring. But that's something that I feel like needs to be highlighted because I think going forward we can expect Dyson Daniels to maybe put up some more shots now that he's kind of seemed like he's finding some consistency there. Any of you guys have any other points about the game?
I will like to say one thing. I honestly believe that the one thing that actually won this game was Vic Krejci's stat line. This game, he had 1 point. I think that's what won us the game.
He checked, but hey, the flame's still lit, baby. The flame's
Yeah,
still lit.
1 point. But that point was the only point that mattered.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all also noticed, but that Keaton Wallace guy, for those who
Oh,
don't know, I
Yeah,
really,
where did we get him?
really love Keaton
I
Wallace.
never heard of him.
we in Collis. I think we caught him up recently.
Yeah,
No,
gotcha.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. He's actually he's actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think he might be in the top 10 on the MVP votings. I'm gonna have to double check. I'm gonna have to refresh my page to make sure that's right. But he
I
had
didn't
some
I
pretty
didn't I didn't know
he had a
the
pretty nice second quarter that I think without Keaton Wallace, I mean the Hornets probably run away and win this game by 30.
I didn't know the G League had MVP rankings.
Oh, he's
That's
not in the
pretty
G
cool.
League. He's in
This
the
has to be like
NBA.
some sort of like make a wish thing. This could be like
No,
some
no,
sort
no,
of
no, no, no. It's not. It's not
Hey,
a make a wish.
I
It's
will credit him. He did have a nasty breakaway jam in that second
yeah,
quarter. Jalen Johnson had one of the nastiest posters I've ever seen in the third quarter, and the Hawks
yeah.
had a beautiful flick on their Instagram. If you want to go check it out, go look at their final score post they posted on Instagram the other night, and just look at the beautiful display they have on the Instagram. Go check it out. It's
And
great
how can
stuff.
we not talking about Jalen Johnson's impactful dunk that he had in the third quarter? That also created one of the best graphics you're going to find on the Hawks Instagram because Jalen Johnson had another mean post in
Chase
there.
just talked about it. He
Oh, I thought you
just
said
talked
Keaton
about it.
Wallace. I thought
I,
you
th-
said Keaton
I
Wallace.
talked about Key Wallace first, and then I said, and also Jalen Johnson having one of the best posters.
I didn't
Then
hear
I
you say
said how they
Jalen
had
Johnson.
it up on the Hawks Instagram.
I didn't hear you say Jalen Johnson. I thought you were still talking about Keaton
Dude,
Wallace.
that
And
Twitch telepathy is going crazy
I
right
was
now.
trying to remember. I was trying to remember. I was like, what poster did Keaton Wallace have? I was like, I must have missed that. But okay, I'm glad we're on the same page. I just didn't want Jalen Johnson to
What
go
are you not on the
unnoticed.
same page? Is my question. What are you not on the
I,
same
th- I
page?
thought you were doing that as a joke. I was like, what's boy
Nah.
yapping about?
Unfortunately, that one was not a joke. But
That's
hey
crazy.
guys, Hawks finished the week 2-2. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. But all that matters is the Hawks have entered back in the top 6 on the Eastern Conference standings, which means as of right now, we are not a playing team. But we've got another quote unquote winnable game tomorrow against the Washington Wizards, and then we for an NBA Cup game, and then we have another NBA Cup game at home on Friday against the Cavaliers. And these are really must win NBA Cup games, considering that we dropped our first one to the Raptors. So if we want a chance to advance to the knockout stage, the Hawks are pretty much going to have to win out the rest of this group stage and hope things swing our way. But yeah, guys, it's been another phenomenal episode. We will see you guys next week post Thanksgiving, and when we see you guys again, we will be in holiday spirits and hopefully good spirits because the Hawks Hopefully, we'll have another successful week. But until then,
Yeah.